My daughter-in-law looked me in the eye in my own kitchen and told me I was getting confused about what was mine. I didn't answer. I just set my coffee down before I threw it. My name is Walter Kessler, 66 years old, 34 years inspecting bridges and parking structures for the city of Millbrook, Ohio, signing off on whether the things people trusted with their lives were actually safe. I knew how to spot a hairline crack before it became a collapse. I missed the one in my own house. Married 41 years to Diane. One son, Marcus, 36. 5 years ago, he married Renee, a paralegal, sharp, composed, the kind of person who never raises her voice and never needs to. I liked her. Everyone liked her. That should have been my first warning. It started small. A phone call from Marcus, almost too casual. "Have you and Mom ever set up a living trust?" I said no. He said maybe we should look into it. I said someday. A week later, a title company called our house to confirm an appointment we never made. Wrong number, I told myself. Then mail started disappearing. Not all of it, just certain pieces. A bank statement, a tax notice, small enough to explain away, big enough, looking back, to matter. One afternoon, I overheard Renee on the phone through a screen door, not knowing I was there. Her voice was low, urgent. "I just need a little more time. I have it handled. Nobody's losing anything on my watch." I felt sorry for her that day. I understand now exactly what she meant. In May, I walked into our bank to add Diane's name to an old account. Routine, 20 minutes, done 1,000 times by other people on other days. The branch manager pulled up our file, and her face changed. "Walter," she said, "there's a power of attorney on this account, filed in February. We never signed anything." She turned the screen toward me. My name, my son's wife listed as attorney in fact, full authority, banking, real estate, everything, notarized by someone I'd never heard of. I looked at the signature. It wasn't mine. Close. Careful. Wrong. I drove straight to the county recorder's office and pulled the file myself. 4 pages. My name typed clean at the top. A notary stamp belonging to a woman who, it turned out, didn't exist. And clipped behind it, a second document. A request to transfer the deed on my house. Not filed yet, just waiting. Sitting in a folder for the power of attorney to clear, so it could go through quietly, permanently, without me ever knowing until it was done. My house. Paid off in 2016. About to become someone else's. I sat in that parking lot a long time. My hands didn't shake. They just went still, the way they do right before you understand something is already too late to stop feeling, even if it's not too late to stop happening. I called my oldest friend that night, told him everything. There was a long pause on the line. "Does Marcus know?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "That's the part that's going to hurt worse than the house." He was right. But I didn't know yet how right. The next morning, I hired an attorney with a reputation for making people regret underestimating her. She read the filings once, set them down, and said 4 words that changed everything. "This notary doesn't exist." Somebody had built the whole thing from scratch. The stamp, the seal, the signature. Fabricated, filed, and buried in a county system nobody checks unless they know to look. My attorney didn't want revenge. She wanted proof. A plan, laid out cold. Freeze the transfer before it could record. Subpoena Renee's law firm to trace the forged notary template back to its source. Build the fraud case brick by brick, and do it all without Renee or Marcus ever suspecting a thing. 6 weeks, she told me. And Walter, for 6 weeks, you say nothing. You do nothing. You disappear into being boring. 6 weeks of sitting across from my son's wife at dinner, watching her smile, knowing exactly what her hands had done. 6 weeks of watching my son defend a woman who was quietly erasing his father's name from his father's house. I told Diane everything on a Thursday night. She went very still, The kind of still she only gets when she's past anger and into something colder. "Get me a copy," she said. She read it twice, then, flat and quiet, "She remembers how I take my tea, and she forged your name in the same year. I'm almost impressed." We waited. We smiled at family dinners. We said nothing. And every single day, the trap tightened by one more link. 6 weeks later, the confirmation came in. The power of attorney revoked. The forged notary stamp traced to a self-inking kit, ordered under Renee's own name through her own firm's supply account. The deed transfer frozen less than a week before it would have gone through. She had been that close. I drove to their house that Sunday evening while her parents were inside for dinner, because whatever came next, my son was going to hear it from me first. Marcus opened the door and I saw it instantly. The tight jaw, the eyes that wouldn't hold mine. He stepped into the doorway and blocked it with both arms. "Dad, not now. Her parents are here." I looked at my own son guarding a door, protecting the woman who had forged my signature. "Do you know what she did?" I asked. "Not here," he said. "Please." Renee appeared behind him, dish towel in hand, and stopped cold when she saw my face. "Walter, whatever this is." "There's a forged power of attorney with my name on it," I said. "Filed in February, fake notary, fake signature, real house." She didn't flinch. That's what I remember most. She didn't flinch. "I was protecting this family," she said. "You two weren't getting any younger. Nothing was set up right. You would have thanked me eventually. I never asked you to protect anything." "The notary you used doesn't exist, Renee. There is no version of that being an accident." Silence. Marcus looked at her, then at me, and something behind his eyes broke open. Not shock exactly. More like a man finally watching the crack he'd refused to see for months finally give way. "That's not what happened," he said, but his voice had already lost the fight in it. "My signature is forged, Marcus. There's no explanation that survives that sentence." Neither of them had an answer. I turned around, walked to my car, and called my attorney before I'd even started the engine. What came next wasn't loud. It was worse than loud. Renee was charged with forgery and identity theft, both felonies. Given the value of the house and the scope of the fraud, she took a plea: probation, restitution, and a permanent revocation of her paralegal license. Her firm let her go the week the subpoena landed. The business she and Marcus had bled money into for years collapsed that fall anyway. The debt she'd been trying to outrun catching up regardless of what she'd done to me. She lost everything she forged my name trying to save. Marcus moved out in August. Not divorced, not yet, but gone. He calls now most weeks. It isn't fixed. Some cracks don't close just because the danger's passed. But he came for Thanksgiving. He sat next to me instead of across from me. That was new. The house is still ours. Locks changed the same week the truth came out, not because anyone thought Renee would come back for it, but because Diane wanted to feel, for the first time in months, like the door was actually ours again. It's quiet now, most evenings. My oldest friend still shows up uninvited, tinkering with something that doesn't need fixing, just to have a reason to stay a while. I sit next to him. We don't talk much. We don't have to. The house held. The name cleared. And the woman who thought she could rewrite my signature learned in the end that some men spend 34 years learning exactly how to read the fine print before the whole thing comes down.